Okay, whenever you want, you can state your name and
Okay.
so forth.
My name is Cadmus Delorme. I'm chief of the Cowes First Nation.
Do you remember what you first thought when you heard about the coronavirus?
It was probably in the fall. I was concerned, but to the magnitude of what we're dealing with coming in March to today, I didn't expect this. I've heard of pandemics. You hear of the history of what is in history called Spanish flu. Others call it other things. It was something I couldn't imagine before it actually got here.
When did your life start to change as a result? In what ways did your everyday life change?
It's July now. I do all my chief work from Cowes now. Prior to COVID, I was 50% on Cowes, 50% off the reserve. Meetings, gatherings, public events. I could pretty much be a chief and be on Cowes 100%, with giving credit to technology. So my work life changed a lot. Personally, I have a 1 and 3 and 12, 14-year-old, and I have spent every day with them pretty much since March, and it's a blessing. My wife and I have spent a lot of time together, mostly good, as I kind of joke around, but the personal life and my work life has changed incredibly since COVID-19 was here in March.
Okay. How did your community respond to the virus?
As of this hour, we don't have any cases, so we have responded proactively, aggressively, understanding that everybody is different. So I feel that we have a COVID task force team made up of program managers and chief and council. And since March 21st, when we shut down, just to reduce the social, to increase social distancing, we've met Monday, Wednesday, Friday from March to May. So I believe we have no cases because of how proactive and aggressive the task force team was. The community responded amazingly. Human behavior is the toughest thing. When you can recommend, you could really strongly advise, but at the end of the day, there are rights that every household has. So the community responded in the best way possible. Our off reserve understood a lot. So all in all, it really got to test at how great Cowes First Nation citizens, community members, and helpers are in all coming together.
How have you coped with the changes brought by the pandemic in terms of culture, heritage, traditional knowledge, traditional practices have they made a difference in your life? If so, how?
A couple examples. Prayer is powerful. Prayer is needed. And what COVID does is it brings an anxiety to leadership, to community. It brings a fear of unknown. It panics. It's almost a lateral violence that comes out in some, just because of everybody deals with it differently. And prayer and just faith in spirituality have helped a lot. We have had numerous mini little ceremonies at home, pipe ceremonies, various small groups, and just posting on our way we communicate through social media and other ways, saying prayers were rendered. You could just feel a sense of calmness and last Friday we had a graduation at our powwow grounds, and it was the first time we've had powwow drum dancers, and it was very emotional to watch because you've just been through so much in the last 3 months, and to see a fancy shawl dancer just dancing her style, to just mesmerize myself, and I know others. So it really makes you appreciate who you are, where you come from, and who you are as the first people.
And like, as a dancer yourself, like, how do you feel like not being able to go to powwows this year or being able to dance?
Yeah, no, I bought some brand new cowboy boots. I wear them to all my powwows, and my headdress, my grand entry, and all jokes aside, this is what we are as first people. We gather, we communicate, we laugh, we lift each other up, we hurt together, we heal together, and we're actually doing the opposite in many of those in social distancing. So it's so you just can tell it's not normal. Sagame powwow was usually the kickoff. FNUC powwow was the first one in the spring, and you get to see your friends, your colleagues, your powwow family, and you see them on Facebook now doing the social distancing competitions and singing. So it's almost like there's a little emptiness inside you that needs to be filled, and the powwows used to do that. So for myself, it almost remains empty, but for the betterment of us, I understand, and I'm not dwelling on that.
What lessons for the future may come out of this experience for you, your family, your community, society as a whole?
Our children will always remember this time as how we acted. I believe Cowses did everything correctly to date, and so our children are going to look at this as my parents, my leaders. They did things rightly, they did things calmly, they didn't panic. And so I think the next leaders, next generation, are going to use this as a time of when you're in fear of unknown, that you can persevere. I've used this quote a few times because we have a pandemic plan, and I say Mike Tyson says, if everybody has a plan till someone gets punched in the face, and then your plan usually goes out the door. And we stuck to our plan, even when some were upset or some didn't understand why. We stuck to our plan, our pandemic plan. We have a COVID-19 plan. We have a travel out of province plan. We have quarantine plan, and everything's written down, so we're not just guessing. We're actually following what we write down, and then we amend it. We're not afraid to amend it when it has to be amended. So what am I going to learn is, you can't prepare perfectly for everything, but you can learn to adapt and learn to be a team. So that's from a work perspective, but from a family perspective, as much as COVID is a very harmful time, it actually has somewhat of a blessing to myself, because as a chief, I lost contact with my family because of just how committed you get in your job, and you're serving your people. And I've spent so much time at home with my kids and my wife that I'm a dad again. And so, it definitely, it put me back on track at a personal level. And, post-COVID, I don't want to lose this. And lastly, technology is our lead now. Zoom calls, I'm 2-3 a day. Working from home, I totally understand how children are a blessing, but they could work against you if you're trying to be productive at home in the work environment. So when staff are coming to our executive director, and I could totally relate, my little girl has showed up in so much Zoom meetings and has consumed a lot of my time and put me behind in emails. Not a bad thing, but just understanding that balance in life is really key. And lastly, I'll just what is money isn't everything in this world, and it's definitely a driver to help with our solutions, but right now we're leaning on each other, and I think it's needed. It really brought Cows together to understand what we're good at and what we can improve on.
Okay. Was there anything else that you kind of pretty much answered the last two questions?
Yeah.
But was there anything that you'd like to add in terms of the questions? Because
No.
one was basically, what you remember the most about this pandemic, and also how you contact family and friends during this whole isolation, since we can't, and quarantine, since we can't go see anybody and out of their homes. And
No. I think that's it. That's it. I joined TikTok over. Shit, it's a funny thing. I never ever thought TikTok was fun, and I got bored at home one night, so I joined TikTok. Sit there for 2 hours, and I just laughing sometimes. Yeah. So no, I got nothing else.
Yeah, I joined TikTok for and that's it. That's everything.
That's everything.
Okay. Well, thank you for taking the time.
Oh, for sure.
And
thanks for accommodating.
this is July the 2nd, 2020.